Known in the SAS as the fan dance, the SAS selection hike across Pennyvan in South Wales is one of the toughest selection exercises in the world.
The coroner's verdict today makes it clear that equipment failure and poor planning were responsible for the men's deaths. Callum Watkinson takes a closer look now at what went wrong on that day.
Operating in secret from its base near Hereford, these three deaths have pushed the SAS further into the open than it usually cares to go. James Dunsby, Edward Mayer and Leicester University graduate Craig Roberts died from overheating as they fought for a place in the elite regiment considered by many to be the world's best.
You've got to remember these guys are determined and they probably will hide certain ailments that they're suffering from because they don't want to be picked out and VW'd, voluntary withdrawn from the actual course. They would have made a pact before they started this exercise that they were going to get through it.
16 miles in 9 hours, carrying 50 pounds in weight. The march across the Brecon Beacons has been part of SAS selection for decades. Every recruit has been through it, but that day in 2013, the temperature on the hills was almost 30 degrees. The candidates passed through 5 checkpoints on the route. Each carried a GPS tracker, but there were delays in responding to the information that those trackers sent. Craig Roberts' emergency man down button was pushed at 3:15, but instructors didn't find him until 4 o'clock. Edward Mayer's tracker showed he stopped moving at 2:16. But it was 2.5 hours until he was located. And the tracker carried by James Dunsby stopped moving at 3:20, but it was almost 5 o'clock by the time he was found. At the Environmental Ergonomics Research Centre at Loughborough University, scientists study how the human body interacts with the conditions around it. Its director told the inquest the soldiers' deaths could have been avoided.
If the march would have been stopped after the second heat illness, which means before these soldiers passed through the last checkpoint, I'm quite certain they would have survived because the time between them passing the last checkpoint and the moment of collapse was 30 to 70 minutes for the individual soldiers. Now that's a very long time in terms of heat illness development. So yes, I think if they would have been stopped, they should have survived.
The inquest heard of other failings at the checkpoints that day. 2 had no water. 3 had no medics. Trackers were not monitored continuously, and the MOD's guidelines on heat stress were not followed. Several other candidates also collapsed from heat illness, but survived. One former SAS soldier who has stepped, partially, out of the shadows, says that selection is arduous for a reason.
What we must never get away from, the reason why we have this selection, it's there because what we want at the end is a good product that can not only fight and do his job, but actually stay alive. Soldiers are involved in combat in far greater heat. If there is a failing in the system, well, let's sort it out and make sure that selection is still as hard as it is, because we need a good product at the end.
The regimental clock tower in Herefordshire carries an inscription by the poet James Elroy Flecker. "We are the pilgrims, master," it reads. "We shall go, always, a little further." But a coroner has now given a clear message to the SAS. When men are willing to push themselves to their absolute limits, the regiment must ensure that they don't go beyond them. Callum Watkinson, ITV News.